IB Topics 9.3 and 9.4, the growth and reproduction in plants. Let's jump right in. Meristems are the growing parts of flowering plants. Growth in these parts occurs due to mitosis. Mitosis creates new cells needed for the extension of the shoot up towards the light. There are two types of meristems. Apical meristems, which are found at the tip of the root and the tip of the shoot. They cause upward growth, which is why the primary growth in plants is up. The second type are lateral meristems, which are found in the vascular bundles of the stem. They surround the stem of the plant and cause outward growth. This is why the secondary growth of plants is out. Micropropagation is a technique used to rapidly breed a certain specimen of plants. Cells in the meristem of plants are undifferentiated, so small pieces of tissue from meristems can be removed and used to grow a whole plant. Micropropagation is done using tissue from the shoot apex, nutrient agar, and growth hormones. So why do we use micropropagation? Micropropagation is important for conserving plant species. It's used for rapid bulking up of new varieties of plants and the production of virus-free strains of existing varieties of orchids and other rare species. Tropism is a plant's growth in response to a stimulus. Plants can respond to a number of stimuli, including light, which is known as phototropism, and gravity, which is known as gravitropism. Plants can either show positive or negative tropism. When a seed germinates, the shoot will always grow towards the light against gravity, showing positive phototropism and negative gravitropism. Plant hormones are growth-regulating substances that act to control growth and development. Auxin is a plant hormone that causes the shoot to bend toward light, showing positive phototropism. Auxin is the only named plant hormone that IB expects us to know. It is found at the tips of the roots and at the tip of the shoot in the apical meristems. In phototropism, auxin diffuses down the shoot and stimulates growth. If one side of the shoot is in the light, auxin diffuses away from the light. The side of the shoot in the shade has more auxin, so it grows faster, causing the shoot to bend towards light. In gravitropism, when a plant is on its side, the auxin gathers in the lower half of the stem and root. Auxin slows growth in the root, so the root curves downward. This is positive gravitropism. Transpiration rate measures how much water is moving up the shoot of the plant and evaporating out of the pores on the leaves per a specified amount of time. It can be measured using a potometer, like the one shown in this picture. Light, temperature, and wind all increase evaporation. Humidity decreases evaporation. On to topic 9.4. Let's start with the parts of a flower. The pistil, or the female part of the flower, is comprised of the stigma, the style, the ovary, and the ovule. The stamen, or the male part of the flower, is comprised of the anther and the filament. Along with the pistil and the stigma, there is the petal and the sepal, which are the outer layers. In plant reproduction, there are three steps: pollination, fertilization, and seed dispersal. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from an anther to a stigma. Cross-pollination is when the pollen comes from one plant to a different plant. Self-pollination is when the pollen comes from the anther of one flower to the stigma of the same flower. Usually after pollination comes fertilization. However, pollination does not always lead to this. Fertilization is the fusion of male and female gametes. Once fertilized, the ovule develops into a seed. This is then contained inside of a fruit, which facilitates the seed dispersal. Along with knowing the parts of a flower, IB expects us to be able to know and label the structures of a bean seed. The testa is the seed coat. The micropyle allows water to enter the seed. The radicle is the embryo root, and once developed it becomes the root of the plant. The plumule is the embryo shoot and will develop into the shoot during growth. Cotyledons are the side of the seed, and food is stored in them. Germination is the process in which a seed turns into a plant. Three things are needed for this: water, oxygen, and a suitable temperature for enzyme activity. The first step of germination is water uptake by the seed. In response to this uptake of water, the embryo synthesizes gibberellin. Next, one of the outer layers synthesizes amylase in response to the gibberellin. Amylase helps turn starch into maltose. This maltose then turns into glucose to supply food to the embryo. Photoperiodicity is the name for how plants react to the length of night. This response to the length of night hours is regulated by phytochrome, which is a receptor that absorbs light. There are two types of phytochrome: PR, which absorbs red light of about 660 nanometers, and PFR, which absorbs far red light, which has a bigger wavelength of 730 nanometers. During the day, PR is rapidly converted to PFR, and during the night hours, PFR is slowly converted back to PR. Different types of plants need specific amounts of PR and PFR, and because of this, they need specific amounts of daylight hours and darkness hours. Long day plants have a maximum number of darkness hours, so they flower in the summer when the day is longer. Examples of long day plants are clovers and carnations. Short day plants need at least a minimum number of darkness hours, so they flower in the spring and fall when the night is longer. Examples of short day plants are coffee beans and strawberries. And that sums up topics 9.3 and 9.4. Good luck studying!